The BRICS group doubles its membership to 10 countries. We'll discuss what the expansion brings to the global south. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. The new year brings new members to the BRICS alliance. This week, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates officially joined the BRICS group of leading emerging economies. In 2006, Brazil, Russia, India, and China formed the group, and with South Africa joining in 2010, it was renamed BRICS. The Chinese Foreign Ministry described the trade bloc as a positive and stable force for good in international affairs.
The
BRICS cooperation mechanism has been increasingly cohesive, with growing influence over its journey of 18 years, and evolved into a positive, steady, and beneficent force. The BRICS has expanded to 10 member countries, which fully shows that BRICS cooperation has a bright future.
CGTN's Owen Fairclough has more.
A major trade bloc is now even bigger. From January the 1st, the BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa have doubled their size. Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are all joining a bloc that accounts for some 40% of the world's population and nearly 40% of global economic output. That's bigger than the G7 Western alliance of the world's most advanced economies. But they'll move forward without Argentina, whose new president abandoned plans to join despite aiming to boost exports.
My wish for this new year is that the political leadership abandons its ideological blindness and personal interests and rises to the occasion to be able to advance quickly the changes that the country needs.
Some Chinese experts have warned that Argentina turning its back on this huge trade alliance will hamper its prospects. Nevertheless, this new group of 10 will hold their first meeting in October, hosted by Russia in the city of Kazan. Owen Fairclough, CGTN, Washington.
For more on the BRICS expansion and the top priorities for 2024, let's bring in our panel. Joining us from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, is Ahmed Al-Ibrahim. He's a Saudi political analyst. Also with us, Akbar Dareini is a researcher and writer at the Strategic Studies of Public Policy Journal in Tehran, and the author of Legitimate Deterrence, a thrilling story of Iran's nuclear program. Mark Sleboda is a Moscow-based international affairs and security analyst, and Einar Tangen is a senior fellow with the Taihe Institute and the founder and chair of Asia Narratives in Beijing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Einar, at the last BRICS summit, which was held in Johannesburg in South Africa, President Xi Jinping of China called the expansion, quote, a new starting point for BRICS cooperation. Expansion of this group has been a key goal for China. So what does this mean now with this expanded group? It's doubled in size. It includes almost half the world's population under its umbrella. What are the implications?
Well, it's a new grouping, and the most important thing to see it is that it's non-ideological. There's absolutely, if you look at the countries involved, they have very, very different governance structures, and this is not a problem. It's about trade and stability. A lot of the things that President Xi has been pushing in terms of the security initiative, the civilization initiative, and also the development initiative. So these are the kind of areas where different countries, different peoples, cultures can agree that they all want to have a better future.
You say it's about trade and stability, but if we look at some of the goals for the new expanded BRICS, it goes beyond that, doesn't it? We're talking about strategic cooperation, about cultural cooperation, people-to-people context. Where do you see the potential for the most cooperation for joint action?
Well, I do see it as economic, but I disagree. We are, in fact, agreeing. All of the things you said are part of the narrative that China has. They do really believe that the countries of the world are always going to be different. There are cultural differences, but they have to be understood. The days when all you needed to know was the United States, your neighbors, and your own country are gone. The global supply chain touches literally everybody in the world. And as a result, there has to be more knowledge. There cannot be, definitions of other countries by capitals who are looking to control them. Each country has to define itself. Each country has to come to a consensus with other countries. And the only way you can do this, as I said, is through having common goals. And those are all the things that you mentioned. It's about peace, stability. It's not about defensive postures. It certainly isn't about trying to create alliances against other countries. Simply trade and development.
Ahmed Al-Ibrahim, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates are now formal members of this bloc. They represent the Arab world's two largest economies, and they are major oil exporters. And we know Saudi Arabia, for instance, right now is going through a major transition. It wants to diversify its economy away from being just an energy exporter. So how does membership in BRICS change that for Saudi Arabia?
Definitely, it's going to play a very big role with the economic power and, the new economic club for Saudi Arabia. Let's not forget that BRICS, since established from day one, it took 7 years to really activate it in a good way, and it hasn't been active as everybody thinks. I mean, it's a great alliances between big population of countries, and this is alliance with Vision 2030. Saudi Arabia wants to leave energy and want to find new markets, would like to get more technology. They want to get away from the traditional economy around the world. So definitely it goes aligned with the vision. However, how much of benefit is going to happen unless there is a new start to this kind of a new club that everybody's joining, BRICS, and it's going to be more active. Probably they are setting a new KPI that they would like to reach. India is there, the new countries is there. It's just going to be more about economy more than anything else. And Saudi Arabia, this is definitely what they are looking for.
Ali Akbar Dareini, Iran has faced an economic crisis since 2018 because of sanctions that have been imposed by the United States over its nuclear program. And according to a report by the World Bank, almost 10 million Iranians have slipped into poverty. At a time when the United States and its allies continue to try to isolate Iran, what does membership in BRICS mean?
Iran's membership in BRICS has both economic and political benefits for Iran. From the political standpoint, Iran's membership allows Iran to expand relations with BRICS member states. Iran's membership is an evidence that the US policy of isolating Iran is failing. Iran is now a member of an international economic bloc that makes up about half of the world's population. It also boosts Iran's bargaining power, and Iran does support BRICS establish a more balanced international order. From the economic standpoint, Iran would benefit from expanding trade relations with BRICS member states. Iran can sell oil and increase its non-oil exports to BRICS member states and neutralize US sanctions. 4 of 5 BRICS founding members are energy consumers. Iran is a big oil and gas producer, and this is very significant for Iran. And this helps Iran alleviate the pressure of sanctions. The idea of de-dollarization of financial transactions and creation of a common currency within BRICS is a big challenge to the US dollar domination. And since it may take some time before it materializes, BRICS member states are focusing on the use of local currencies. Yep. This allows Iran to improve relations with these countries and improve its damaged economy.
Ali Akbar Dareini, you mentioned that this opens up energy markets for Iranian exports, but what does it do for Iran's efforts to diversify its economy?
The very fact that Iran has more options to trade with countries that make up half of the world population allows Iran to engage in trade with these countries, either on barter trade or in local currencies, import technology, and engage in bilateral or multilateral transactions. This brings huge economic benefits to Iran, and Iran is a major hub for transports. It's a land corridor. It has vast energy resources, and Iran's strategic position also is a big boost for BRICS. So Iran is a big, important addition for BRICS. It allows BRICS to have added value and reach its goals in Western Asia.
All right, let's go to Moscow, to Mark Sleboda. Mark, Russia now holds the 2024 chairmanship of BRICS. It will host the BRICS summit in Kazan in October. And we know that Russia is also facing sanctions, Western sanctions. So what are the top priorities in 2024 when BRICS falls under Russia's chairmanship?
Okay, I think the top priorities for Russia's chairmanship of BRICS, one is going to be the full integration of the 5 new members of BRICS. But already the group is looking at a next round of expansion that could include countries such as Venezuela and Indonesia, among others. I believe also President Putin has indicated that they are looking for the development of a new level of BRICS partner status that will essentially be a introduction level of membership to BRICS for some countries going forward, because there are already some 30 countries knocking on BRICS' door looking to become members. Not all of them perhaps are immediately economically or politically suitable. A type of tiered membership such as we see with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, I think is a good idea for BRICS moving forward. The other, I think, big priorities for BRICS are, I agree with Einar that the simple job of BRICS will be the nucleus of an alternative economic world order. And increasingly, particularly since the US-led West weaponized their control of the existing global financial and economic architecture against Russia. And countries around the world realize that what can be done to Russia could very easily be done to them, that alternatives are absolutely necessary. Whether this is a necessity for countries who currently have bad relations and are under sanctions by the would-be hegemon, Iran, Russia, China, or countries such as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, who are simply looking for foreign policy options as a way of risk management. That BRICS will be absolutely essential moving forward. That will demand in the medium to long term the creation of a common BRICS currency and the creation of an alternative to the SWIFT payment system. That is a longer range goal, however. It's not so easy. And in the short range, Russia will be looking at increasing trade and financial transactions, both within BRICS, the new development bank, but between countries in their own currencies, encouraging it and reducing the obstacles for doing so.
I just want to get back to the point that Mark mentioned of a common currency. There have been calls for an overhaul of the international monetary system, the development of an alternative currency to the United States dollar. Last year, the United Arab Emirates and India signed agreements to promote the use of local currencies in cross-border transactions. India is now buying oil from the UAE in Indian rupees. Where do you see this going, this alternative currency?
Well, if you'd asked me this question maybe 2 weeks ago, I'd have said it's going to be very slow. The problem with coming up with an alternative currency is that you have to have an entire system that is extremely safe and secure. Just this few days ago, China and Russia announced that they have basically put together an almost uncrackable entanglement type of arrangement so that over thousands of miles they can send secure codes, not over wires, not through the air, but through an entanglement process where one atom is manipulated in one area, it is mirrored in the other atom that can be located thousands of miles away. This gives absolute security. If this is in fact something that can be doable, then they will be able to do this kind of currency system much quicker than I anticipated. If you start looking at how SWIFT operates, everything that is necessary, these separate, highly secure bank lines that have to be monitored and things like that, if that can be bypassed through technology, it could be a lot quicker. But there are other dangers to this. It does not come free. Everyone talks about the possibilities of having another currency, but there will be adjustments. The U.S. right now is about almost 20% of the world's demand. If even 5 or 10%, half of that or a quarter of that were to go away, it would plunge the world into a recession. So these kinds of moves have to be very carefully planned. China is in a very difficult position where it is constantly being, put down by the U.S. saying that we're not going to allow anyone to invest in your technology. We're going to cut off technology trade to you. We're going to put sanctions on you. At the same time, you have Yellen telling them quite pointedly, if people don't buy our bonds and the whole thing collapses, you'll go with us.
Ali Akbar Dareini, you pointed this out earlier on, but Iran has also voiced its commitment several times, actually, to de-dollarization across most of its economic sectors. It is, as I said, facing sanctions from the United States and from Western Europe mainly. So how important is this for Iran, and how does it function right now with these kinds of sanctions in places?
Iran cannot have transactions in US dollars due to unprecedented sanctions. So it is now selling oil and doing transactions in other currencies such as yuan or local currencies in bilateral relations. And in some cases, Iran is engaged in barter trade. It imports technology, products, goods that it needs, and in return, it provides the other party with oil, gas, or engineering services and whatever Iran can do. So right now, China has started a big project in Tehran to build one of the biggest sports complexes. And that is being done through Iran providing oil to China, and in return, China building such a monumental project for Iran. This is how Iran is doing. Iran's oil exports have increased in recent months, and that is partly due to Iran's Look East policy that President Raisi has been pursuing, and with BRICS, a new world order is in the making. So BRICS is becoming one of the main proponents of change in the West-oriented order of the world. And my reading is that creation of BRICS is a reaction to the lack of balance in world order. It is becoming a symbol for a big change in international relations, and Iran is supporting that. Iran needs that, and Iran welcomes that.
Ahmed Al-Ibrahim, talking about a changing world order, a new balance, the United States and Saudi Arabia have had a long-standing security relationship. I mean, this goes back decades. The U.S. is also Saudi Arabia's largest trading partner and the largest export market for the United States in the Middle East. So does the kingdom's membership in BRICS complicate this in any way?
Definitely, it does not. Saudi Arabia, with their relationship with the United States, they are tied by the hip. There's a lot of programs that Saudi Arabia and the US, they have together. There's a lot of more common between Saudi Arabia economically and the United States. Yes, indeed. In the past, probably, I would say, decade, we've seen that there is kind of standoff by Saudi Arabia from the United States foreign policies because Saudi does not see eye to eye of what the US foreign policies, especially with the changes of presidents and basically pointing fingers about Saudi Arabia. But Saudi has been always managing this relationship for the bigger cause. And Saudi Arabia is, I would say, ready to basically go on their own and basically take off the fully dependency on the United States or probably any Western country when it comes to their own security and their own economic decisions. And this is definitely plays a role where Saudi Arabia has chosen BRICS to be, be a member of. I think if what we would say if the competitor of the BRICS is the G7 or what was called the G8, and this is what was the new floor, the United States and the European countries, they would have invited Saudi Arabia to that G camp or the G club of the elites of the world. However, definitely, even if it's been invited, we see that the world is shifted, the world order has been changed. Countries are withdrawing their influence from regions, so and this instability in the White House that is coming every 4 years and basically having a roller coaster around the world, it's not really making the right assessment by leaning fully like Saudi Arabia used to be on the United States. Definitely, they are open for new players, whether China, Russia, Japan, South Africa, Brazil. And Saudi has learned their lesson that if they are going to do this disengagement, fully disengagement from the United States, like it was before, they are not going to be fully lean also in another and depend on another country. Definitely, they're going to look for their own benefit for their own people, for their own economy, seeing different views from the American policy in the region, like reconnecting back to Iran or trying not to get involved in the rise of the rift between the United States and the Houthis and all these things, because we've discovered since long ago that the United States does not do the right thing when it comes to this definitely hostile region that we're living in.
Mark, you were talking a moment ago about Russian hopes for a new economic world order, but President Putin, in a recent address, went much beyond that. In fact, he set some very impressive long-term goals for the expanded BRICS. He wants to promote BRICS partnership, he said, in 3 key areas: politics and security, economy and finance, and cultural and humanitarian contacts. I mean, beyond the economic links, beyond the trade links, are we going to see a much higher level of political and diplomatic cooperation among BRICS countries?
I think eventually we will. I think baby steps is the key here, much like with the European Union, a different multilateral organization to be sure, but started off with economic linkages first and then became something more than that. There is a problem, of course, with the wide range of political systems, countries, economies, cultures in BRICS, in that consensus will be very difficult. And as BRICS expands even further, geopolitical consensus will be very difficult, if not impossible. However, everything that BRICS does is going to probably be given an incredible impetus in the next few months. If the US and Europe is being discussed, take Russia's currency reserves in their countries that has been frozen, some $300 billion, and not just freezes it, but outright steals it. This will be a geoeconomic earthquake, a watershed mark. It will be a crossing of the Rubicon that will see demand an acceleration of everything that BRICS is doing, not just as an alternative economic order, but politically as well. Because The truth is that while the BRICS members, at least rhetorically, state, that it is about peace, it is about trade, it is not directed against anyone, they're dealing with the US-led Western global hegemony. Anyone simply trying to exert an independent foreign policy outside of their control, much less organizing and providing an alternative system, will be seen as an enemy. That is a simple truth of the power relationship that exists in the world. Geopolitics, you may not be interested in geopolitics, but geopolitics is interested in you. We see how much BRICS has already become a geopolitical organization with the rather embarrassing case of Argentina. Argentina was, under a different presidency, offered to join BRICS. It was extended an invitation, and now they have a new president who would prefer to associate his country geopolitically with the United States, and outright rejected that BRICS membership, saying that he doesn't want to associate Argentina under his watch with a group of communists, which I find rather perplexing, coming from Russia. But it shows how much geopolitics already plays into alignment of countries with BRICS or with the West. And I think that process is inevitable. It will accelerate now, most likely in the next few months, to an unbelievable degree.
Einar, as we see a group like BRICS expand, and as I pointed out, it doubled in size, and as we see this shift towards the global south, towards the east, is the United States and its allies going to see this as a threat?
Well, they may see it as a threat, but and despite Mark's very persuasive arguments on behalf of Russia, the fact is there is no litmus test that you have to go against the United States in order to be part of BRICS. UAE, Ethiopia, Egypt, Saudi all have relations with the U.S. There's no requirement. It is quite the opposite. It's the U.S. who says you need to, follow our lead in terms of who we don't like, whether it's Russia, Venezuela, China, etc. So the whole point about this group is it's putting aside this kind of geopolitical ideology and just simply saying, let's focus on the things that people want. People want security. People want to, have some hope of a better life. And they want respect for their civilization, for their values. And that's what can hold it together. Once this becomes us versus them, you're going to have problems.
Mark, very quickly, I've got 20 seconds. A quick response from you.
Yes, I never said that there is a type of litmus test for entering BRICS of non-alignment with the U.S. But the simple matter of the fact is that the U.S. will view that as a threat to their hegemony, whether the country joining BRICS feels that way or not.
Okay,
Agreed.
and we have to leave it there. Thank you to all of you for being with us. That's it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Anand Naidu in Washington, D.C.